Now we come to The Flash, another TV show that I missed out doing a vlog on last week, so I'm going to be talking about two episodes this time around. First of all, came the team up, the long-awaited team up between Captain Cold and Heatwave, and how that poses a much greater threat than just Captain Cold by himself. Now, one thing I really liked about this episode is how they really address the fact that Captain Cold, he doesn't really have any plans for world domination, or he doesn't really have any plans to kill anyone. I mean, if he did kill someone, it probably wouldn't bother him. But he's out to be a thief, and he's out to be the top dog in the thieving community. So he really does not warrant Barry sacrificing potential training time to go fight. So that was something that I really liked. However, again, what I like about Barry's character is that he is kind of impressionable at this relatively early stage of his life, and how eventually his greater judgment, not to mention the people surrounding him, kind of force him to take action against Captain Cold and Heatwave, to protect the innocents. Because even if Captain Cold and Heatwave have no desire, or I shouldn't put it that way, even if they have no grand plan of world domination or takeover or mass slaughter, there's still going to be collateral damage, especially when they're looking for the Flash. So seeing that all come together was pretty satisfying, and the team up between the two villains who I actually like. They are two of the better Flash villains. There's not really a whole lot to Heatwave, I have to say, but combined with Captain Cold and the sort of repertoire, or not really repartee that they have going, the sort of almost brotherly type chemistry that they have, which I'm guessing it was no mistake that they got the main two guys from Prison Break, the brothers from Prison Break, to play these two old colleagues. So both Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell really did a good job, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, they were overacting at some points, but again, when it comes to a show like this that is not necessarily trying to be all gritty and dark and Batman-y, I think you could afford the occasional over-the-top villain, especially, or not really completely over-the-top villain, but a villain with the occasional over-the-top mannerism, especially when the villains are called Captain Cold and Heatwave. You gotta at least have a little bit of fun with something like this, and it looked like Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell were having fun. There was really an element of familiarity between these two that I think I have to guess was present in Prison Break, but I believe really helped sell their relationship here. So those two were a lot of fun. And in addition, I had fun with a lot of the other characters. So yeah, I really liked the last episode. And as for tonight's episode, it dealt with the Pied Piper. And again, one thing this episode did differently is make the conflict about Dr. Wells instead of Barry. And in addition to that, Barry and how he will eventually overcome the Pied Piper is not really addressed. I mean, a lot of the conflict thus far, or at least when it comes to Barry actually fighting the villains, a lot of the suspense thus far has come from him trying to find some weakness of theirs and exploit it. With the Pied Piper, we get a little bit of that towards the end, but for the most part, a large part of the drama and suspense comes from what the Pied Piper is going to, what kind of havoc he is going to wreak in retribution for what he believes Dr. Wells is responsible for. Not only his hearing damage, but also for taking the risk of the particle accelerator. So having Dr. Wells really be the center of the drama this time around, and something that I think they could have done with the villain, I forget his name, the villain who sapped Barry's powers, but they never really went that far. I thought this episode really incorporated that fairly well, especially raising the issue of trust between Dr. Wells and his colleagues. Yeah, I will say that the Pied Piper wasn't exactly menacing, or at least not as menacing as they wanted him to be at times. Not that he was poorly acted or anything, but again, he was just a little too dorky, a little too I'm trying to search for the word. He just did not work as often as they were probably intending him to. However, it was made up for by again the drama surrounding Dr. Wells and the other characters, specifically Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin, whose trust in Dr. Wells has been shaken. And one thing that I actually wasn't really on board with is, at least in Barry's case, his trust in Dr. Wells is basically immediately restored after he helps him put away the Pied Piper and makes that announcement at the press conference, how he basically confesses that he knew the risks. But I still think that was a little too quick for something as serious as this, because Dr. Wells was essentially taking a gamble with people's lives. So I don't know, I think it takes more than one episode to really come to grips with that and to move past it. If they would ever move past it in any logical world, and I know logic in The Flash, but you get my point. And in addition, one of the ending scenes that I didn't feel really worked was the scene between Barry and Joe, where they act as if they had this conflict building up over the course of the episode regarding who Barry currently sees as his mentor figure or figure that he looks up to, and how Joe is feeling a little bit left out. They act like that at the end of the episode, and Barry kind of reassures him, like, no one can replace you. But I was just watching this scene and going, did I miss something? Because I don't remember them setting that up. So yeah, that sort of came out of nowhere and subsequently robbed it of some of the drama. And in addition, the Iris bits, while I don't hate Iris, I'm kind of neutral towards Iris, to be honest. I don't like her. I don't outright dislike her. But when we're supposed to be on her side when she gets this new news job and she's getting belittled by her superiors, specifically the person that she looks up to in the department, although it ties in thematically with the episode, I just could not bring my... And although yeah, this guy should not have treated her like he did, I was watching this going, he has a point. She wrote a blog and already she thinks that she should get assignments on the same level as all of these other investigative reporters who have been working here for presumably years. So again, the way in which he went about it wasn't really all that considerate, but again, the points he brought up and really his mindset on her in general, his first impression, I don't think was all that unwarranted, to be honest. Maybe I'm just a bad person. That could be it. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed these two episodes. I enjoyed the twists that they threw in, specifically in the second episode regarding who the central protagonist was. And in the first episode, I enjoyed the villain team up. They were a lot of fun. I'm still on board for this show. And really, really weaving this interesting mystery around Dr. Wells and how they're revealing just a little bit each episode, but still enough to keep us interested. This creative team is really good at that. So yeah, it's Dr. Wells. Yeah, he uses super speed, but it seems like he could only do it for a short time. Like his body is failing him. I'm sort of reminded of Kyle XY, but that's another topic for another day. And that's about all I have to say on these two episodes of The Flash.